Dude, you gotta get your phone and take a picture of wet nipples as the episode post.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Oh, that's a video. Get into it. Welcome everyone to the Break Knyte podcast, where we talk about being creative and all that sweet nonsense that keeps us inspired and makes us do all the creative things that we do. I am Craven Knight, professional wrestler and overachiever in the world of making, as I do woodworking, toy customization, prop work, and I sew a lot of crap. So, yeah, thank you for listening. And with me, as always, is the artist. Yeah, tell these people who you are.
I am the Velveteen Dream. I am the man with the master plan. I am Sean Iredale, one of the co-founders of Amberland Studios, and I'm here with my man from the BKP, Craven Knight, and I'm glad that we are doing this yet again on this 5/14 night. Now, we have a special guest once again on our podcast. I think maybe this is the second or third time that we've had his Mark ass on here. Tell these people who you are.
My name is Thomas, or Lenard Literacy, but a man with wet nipples.
Yeah!
His nipples are so wet.
You can thank me for that, ladies and gents.
It's
more
like this
photos to come.
It was like this shirt was specifically made with glass around the chest area.
Oh, wow.
You have to follow some social media to see
nips.
that.
Oh, you know what that reminds me of? That scene in was it Cable Guy? Where he tries to get him?
Yeah.
Oh, Billy.
Yeah. That's you in this wet shirt. All right.
So, like, because, like, at the gym, whenever I work out, like, some of my shirts are cut a little too much. And
side boob.
Yep, I see side boob and I see nipples every time. And I'd taken a picture before where I photoshopped.
Oh, yeah, you photoshopped.
Because my nipples were very visible. So I photoshopped images of Jim Carrey from The Cable Guy when he specifically says to Matthew Broderick's character, nipple. And then I just covered my nipples with it.
I just put that together. That's amazing.
No, I even did that because one of my friends even posted a picture and like it was a shirtless picture of him like losing weight, but it was a shirtless picture, and he would only appreciate this because it's supposed to be like a progression photo of him losing weight and all that stuff. Sure. Everyone's like, "Good job, you look great," blah blah blah, and all I post is a picture of Jim Carrey going nipple.
Yeah.
Because I can
just
see
make
his
him
nipples.
feel uncomfortable as hell.
But like because it's me, he appreciates it. So
see, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
When a fit guy mocks your shirt off picture, that's nothing but a confidence booster. So let's go ahead and move on to our typical creative side of the topic and conversation. I would love to know what Craven Knight has been doing lately. So what have you had on your creative plate, my friend?
Yes, we always talk about the creative stuff in the beginning, and you know me, I'm always up to no good, or all good.
You're all in.
Yeah, all in. No, it's sold out, so I'm all out. So
we're all out. We're all out.
So there's a couple things just because I do too much throughout the week, so I got nothing but time to do this stuff. I posted the biker shorts video. It's pretty much a watch me work video of me making biker shorts from beginning to end, and I spontaneously decided just to record myself because I haven't recorded myself working on anything in such a while, and now I'm able to schedule myself to work it in. So it's a cool little video, and I know I've gotten messages from people saying how much they appreciate the videos that I put because that type of content isn't really out there. People making wrestling gear for some obvious reasons. If it's not so obvious, it's because money. But but like really, when it comes to the videos that I put, you're really just gonna watch me do the work that I do, and if you pay attention hard enough, you will learn something, and that's what I hope that it's doing. And so far, for a couple of people, that's what it's been doing. It's teaching people how to do certain things, at least the process that I do it. And I'm not perfect at it. I have my ways of doing it. Even looking at other people's gear, I always analyze other people's gear. Like, I have gear that was sent to me, and I'm looking at it and being able to analyze it and how other people do their stuff is it really allows me to kind of change certain things up. It's like, that's
insightful,
fantastic.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you get an eye into assuming the stuff that you get sent to you is done by people who have been maybe doing this longer or more professional, use different materials.
Well, just doing things differently or just doing different pieces than I have done. Like, when it comes to like long tights and like how they apply that extra bit of spandex in the crotch area that is kind of like that kind of cone overlapping on each other. So it's like
so you have a lot more stretch on the split.
Which I realized from the piece that I was looking at, it's not even specifically sewed in, like it's a separate piece just on top of the seam.
Oh, really?
So if that seam were to pop,
you still got protection on the seam?
Because the way I've done it before was just like, okay, I'll leave this open and I'll stitch on the edges, which is a pain in the ass to do.
I'm sure.
So I realized after looking at this, this is how I'm doing it. It's just looking at the stitch work, and it's like, stitch work is not much different than what I would do. It's just certain ways of how things were gone, like how they went about it is something that I'm able to take away from it, which is really nice. So, and also like some of the, just briefly touch on some of the wrestling gear I've made. Some stuff that was kind of like a surprise for me, like for one, making pants. Like, I use spandex to make pants, but I made some pants for a guy. I got to see some of his pictures from the weekend, and I was really surprised at how they came out, considering that, like, making pants I'm kind of sketchy on, because I worry about making them too small or too tight in certain areas, and now I'm getting the understanding better of how to make a pattern for pants to be able to get the sizing right, and they look good on him, and he loves them, and which is great, and I got everything right on it, and the design work looks great on it, and this is definitely something I'm proud of, being able to actually do pants and really boost my confidence in the work that I'm doing. That and the Knight's gear, which I believe we talked about before. The guy just provided me with an idea. It was kind of like, nothing against him really, but he didn't really provide me with much other than the idea that he wants a knight's armor on tights. Right. So I'm just kind of going off of just ideas off the top of my head of what knight armor looks like.
Yeah, in fabric form.
Yeah, and I had some ideas and stuff, and I was able to execute it, and then not until after everything's, like, I already bought materials and everything, he sends me a picture, I kind of want it to look like this, and he sends me a picture of black armor with gold trim. It's like, I got silver. So
guess what you're getting?
Yeah, you're getting silver. So I can go off of this design, but it's going to be silver because that's what I got, because you didn't give me anything beforehand.
That sounds right.
But just to show just how much of a dick I can be if don't give me everything that I need when you pay me to do gear.
Man, it's almost like you should have your designs done first.
I know, right?
Like, you should pay a guy to get a digital mock-up.
Trust, there's certain cases
on a person.
I know, but trust me, I think of that, and there's certain cases where it's like it doesn't seem all that necessary.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Which I totally know you understand, but like there's certain times where it's like, okay, general idea, knight's armor, they're not being very specific. I can just go off of images on Google and do my best. And then there's certain color schemes, blah blah blah, and they have their own logo. So sometimes it's not always necessary to have a rendering. Right. But I can always tell from the difficulty of talking to certain people that like, okay, I can say this, say, go to Sean, he'll design something for you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I would just like be like, oh, god damn it, I have to go to someone else. And if anything deters anyone away, is having to go to another person for anything.
Right. I got a OVW guy that's trying to contact me for a design too. So yeah,
I'm wondering if, because OVW guy contacted me for gear.
Really?
So I'm wondering
if... It's probably that guy.
It's probably the same guy. Because whenever the time comes, whenever they specifically say, can you come up with a design for me? That's when I know, Sean, he's going to help you out. He's going to be your guy. He's going to be happy to help you out. But yeah, the Knight's Armor gear, I did a little show and tell video on that. So that will be my video, I believe, this week that I post. Awesome. So I want to maintain a weekly schedule posting videos. Sounds good. So if I don't do watch me work, I'll do a show and tell. Which I have plenty of stuff to do that with. But the Knight's Armor gear, I was really surprised how it came out. Like, how my ideas as I was going. Because, like, it's one of those ideas that, like, as I do it, as I start, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And as I go and I start figuring out piece by piece.
He didn't know what he was doing. Like, nobody did. You started from scratch, and then it ended...
because it felt more like prop work versus gear work, but also amalgamation of the two. So it was actually kind of fun to figure out and put it together, especially the color combinations and how to really get that look that he was going for. And and when I put it on spandex, it looks a little silly because it looks like a skirt. But when you look at Knight's armor, it kind of looks like just a bulky skirt. It does. But on tights, if it's tight, it looks like a skirt.
I mean, really, the way I think of it is, it's like, the worst that could happen is just going to look like Mortal Kombat gear, which everybody was wearing in WCW. Yeah. You know, so when Glacier's entrance shit, when you look like Shao Kahn and like fucking all those dudes, they look like that.
And then he wanted me to put his last name is Knight, but spelled K-N-I-G-H-T, blah, blah, blah. And, but he came up with like a doodle of like, it's spelled out in swords. And nothing against him. It looked horrible. And like, and I was trying to think, how can I make this work? So I had ideas on how to make it work, but it's like, fuck, if I do this, I should charge even more. So I just went with like the simplest thing. It's like, he can't be committed to this, so I'm just gonna look for a font, look for other things that go with Knight's armor type stuff. And then I came up with what I did. I sent it and was like, hey,
did he like
what you sent me, I don't think it's gonna look good. Here's what I came up with, and he just loved it right off the bat. So it's like, okay, he wasn't committed to it.
Well, that's luck.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
Remember, because man, if they get upset by a logo or a font, sometimes that could be a nightmare.
Yeah, and I just look for anything like typical in the realm of medieval times and knight armor, and just try and find typical font that worked and what would it look like, or somewhat rendered and all that. And he dug it. And other than that, like besides the wrestling gear, I did some woodworking over the weekend. Even bought a miter saw, built myself a miter saw station. I thought I was gonna be out of the realm of woodworking, but I was able to turn that garage in. At least one half of that garage is built for me to do whatever I need.
That's right.
Half of it for my gear, half of it for woodworking, trying to keep the sawdust away from all the fabric as much as possible. But I have to remove like the garbage can and a bunch of like toys out of the way. But like to actually do anything. But I was able to build a chair because in our living room we don't have a couch. Like, it got destroyed by the cat, and I had to destroy the couch and get rid of it. So the responsibility has been thrown on me to build a couch or chairs or whatever. So
I can't wait to see it and be very jealous.
Well, it's pretty much going to be just like, most likely going to be like a couch you see in like most waiting rooms, if anything. It's not going to be like the most. It's probably going to be comfortable, but only in the sense of like you come over, you visit for a little while, watch some wrestling, and then you leave. But it's like if you want to sleep on it
or chill all day.
I think it's going to be a little too firm for that type of comfort. But even though the cushioning, at least my upholstery work, feels pretty solid, because I just took with a little knowledge I learned from some of the YouTube channels that I follow, which is really just like get the foam, wrap it in some upholstery foam, then wrap it in fabric, staple it to some wood. So I didn't want to sew if I didn't have to, and just put it on, and it all came out really good. Cheapest thing was the wood frame, besides putting time into it, but the staining just looked really good, came out really good, and the cushions came out really good. And today I finished a footrest for it, which came out really great. So
awesome.
So yeah, I rambled on long enough, but that stuff was pretty fun for me over the last week of stuff for me to do creatively. So.
I mean, now that you got all this time to do creative, you're gonna have a lot more stuff to talk about. So I'm glad to cut you off, you scumbag. So coming up next, it's the stuff you've all been looking forward to. Drawing.
The artistry.
Ooh. Sorry, I didn't upholster a new couch, but ooh, man, I sure did draw on some paper.
I can put your name on stuff if you want.
Yeah, that'll help. But I want it in swords. Anyway,
I still think with that, like with the name of the swords, I think it would have been cool to do the Conan thing. Just have a big sword.
Sword.
My idea for what I was thinking was like,
sorry,
okay, because no, it's fine. You haven't said much, so you need to say things.
Yeah,
but but no, it was like his idea for the swords was like for the letter G, using one sword to make the entire shape of a G. Like
No, that's silly.
Yeah, so I was like thinking, what other weapons could I incorporate? So I was thinking, okay, the mace, a chain with the mace, and then there's axes. I can use that as a K and blah blah blah. But the amount of time I was already like 20 minutes in. I was like, I'm still like nowhere near done with one letter.
I hate this.
So it's like I don't want to do this, especially when I'm doing it all on the computer. It's not fun. So it's like fuck this. I would just find a font and just figure it out.
And sure enough. Mission accomplished.
Yes.
Save the Conan thing for me when I finally get my gear to wear while I podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as I'm concerned, I had an illustration that I did in a sketchbook that I previewed like on the Instagram and our Facebook and such of a Venom that I was working on, but never got around to adding further details. So I decided to scan it, and then I'm digitally painting it, so I'm going to try and finish it digital, because why? Now's the perfect time, right? Now that Venom's coming out, everybody's hyped. It should be a good time.
Fuck yeah.
So yeah.
Get your bracelets, get your t-shirts.
Yeah, that's fucking right! But yeah, I'm going to work on that, and, just working on my painting skills some more. I'm going to try rendering color from grayscale. I haven't done that yet, so that should be interesting. I'm trying to get as much knowledge on that as I can. Also, my buddy Craig and his baby's mother and baby, I did the children, him and his girlfriend. I turned them into fighting game character sprites as well for their respective birthdays. So that was pretty awesome. So they sent me pictures of them framed, and like they sat them up next to each other. It's super cute. I'm very happy with that. And then also right now I'm working with Chef Ben Allen again on coming up with a new original font for the El Norte product for his restaurant pop-ups. So yeah, I'm keeping busy. Also, I'm trying to illustrate a lot more just on the side, doing more warm-up sketches and stuff. Also, at my day job, when it's boring, I've been sketching as well. Yeah. But we've been busy lately, so I can't sketch anymore, which saddens me deeply. And I guess I actually have to do the work I'm paid for. So whatever.
That fucking sucks.
Yeah, that sucks.
Work sucks.
Agreed. But, either way, it keeps me on my toes, and I'm just trying to draw more so I can get myself up. Also, I've been training in Street Fighter, doing really good at losing my rank and getting it back again, and then losing my rank and getting it back again. So, if you guys want to fight the most mediocre / saddest Alex player on this side of the country, look up Head Nuke on Street Fighter V, and you will see that I win 40% of the time. Also, moving on.
Well, speaking of video games, like, funny, considering my situation now, working from home, I figured I can work in time to play video games. That is not Rocket League.
That's fucking weird.
I know, it's fucking weird because I never
We talked about this shit before on the podcast, and you're just like, yeah, sometimes I'll play Rocket League and I'll play Overwatch, but I hate this shit, and I gotta work, and I hate work. Wrestling sucks. I'm back into wrestling now. Yeah,
I'll never make wrestling gear.
I'll never make wrestling gear. God, I'm making wrestling gear full time now. So, back in the bipolar days of Craven, I remember we talked about that before.
I'm a bitter soul.
Accurate. But yeah,
no,
you had no time for games, and now you actually do.
I do. I'll say I do. Like, if anything, there's always time to kind of work it.
If you got time to build a couch just cause, you got time to fucking play a game.
Couches are for the weekend.
Yeah, right.
During the week.
Weekend fun.
During the week, it's all...
You guys want to grab beers? No, I want to build a couch.
Build a couch so you can drink beer on it.
Hell yeah.
But no, but thing is, I've been trying to look for games to play. Trying to figure out what to play, but thing is, I'm a very picky gamer. I'm not, even though what I end up playing is the multiplayer games like Rocket League and Overwatch. I'm not necessarily I'm good at Rocket League, but that's just a go-to just to kill 20 minutes usually.
Yeah,
I want a game that I can actually get
immerse yourself in.
Yeah, I want to get immersed in a game, and I haven't had that. And what game comes to mind is always like Metal Gear, but it's like I always get trapped in the whole idea is I want to feel what I felt the first time I played it. And that's what I think of when I play Metal Gear. It's I feel like playing Metal Gear, but then when I play it for 20 minutes, I'm just I know everything already.
Yeah,
So it's like,
I mean, it's a legendary game for you,
Yeah.
but it's not like a remake where they change the game completely. You're always you're just sharing the experience all over again.
Yeah, like me right now, I'm playing Snake Eater, and it's like I've never played it before, but I'm actually at a certain point in the game where I'm like, okay, I'm a little stuck right now, but I'm just kind of immersing myself into it, you know. The other ones are just, you know.
I think in those situations, it'd actually be fun to play with somebody and show them, you got to do this. Like kind of when I watched The Room with Sean.
Yeah.
He had to be my guide to watching the movie because apparently you need one when watching such a movie.
You do.
And
you saw The Disaster Artist, didn't you?
I did.
Yes.
And really, like, me and the lady really enjoyed that one. But
that's so great.
But when it comes to video games, I'm just like trying to seek out like certain video games and trying to see if there's any older video games I can probably pay like 20, 30, maybe even $40 that I can get entrenched in. But like, there's really nothing out there that's really speaking to me.
And what are you kind of into?
Well, I'm more into more of the single player action video games, kind of something like a God of War. But I just never really fully fell into the whole God of War thing.
Well, I mean, you starting off with the new one. I heard is good enough.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really need to play the old ones. I mean, it's better to play the old ones just to get to the new one because you'll see the.
You know his journey.
Oh yeah, I played a couple of the old ones and stuff, and like I would never get caught up in the whole. Yeah, I would never get caught up in the whole like, God, I can't play this one because I didn't play the other ones. Like, I don't care about any of that. It's just more of like, what do I feel like is going to be something that I look forward to playing every time I feel like playing a video game, and I haven't had that in such a long time.
I mean, you just do a little research or just borrow stuff from us. Yeah. You know, I'm sure there's some shit that we got that you can try.
Because I debate on Dragon Ball FighterZ, but like I feel like
it's so good.
Yeah, I know it's good. Every time I see it, it's fucking good. But it's like the time has passed to where it's like I don't feel hyped for it anymore.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's like
true.
I don't really get that into video like fighting games anymore.
Well, I mean, it's easzy to pick up. I would just say that, and there's still constantly new characters being brought into the mix. So.
Yeah.
No.
So
now we will go.
Speaking of which, the Dragon Ball FighterZ is a fine segue because one of my favorite figures of all time, as I bring you to Toy Corner, is the SH Figure Arts Brawly, which I love so much. Definitely in my top 10 of all time. Look at him, still clotheslining Goku. Love him. But I got the SDCC. I think New York Comic Con. It was a New York Comic Con or STCC. One of the Comic Cons versions of this Brawly, where it has like more of the greenish tint and the dinge color clothing, and his skin is more olive, so it's a lot closer to
the first one, the first movie, I believe.
Yeah, it's a lot closer to the first movie and the one that I watched when I fell in love with Broly. Like, that was my shit. So I find out that Tamashi is making another version of this Broly that's coming out here soon that people can finally get their hands on. And I thought that was kind of crazy because the one that I have currently is was selling for about $300. So I was very happy about that he's like this little piece of gold treasure that I got, but now they're re-releasing colors again. I don't like it when other people can have the stuff I have.
That's how I always been. That's why I make my own wrestling gear.
It makes me very upset. But yeah, so since we're on the topic of toys, Craven, what'd you get just recently? You just told me you got some little tasty treat.
Yeah, like I've talked about before, I'm not all that entrenched in the toy world as much, just because our focus is with making stuff. But with the little bit of time,
just rub it in, you fuck.
With the little bit of time that I do get to just browse the toy aisles and all that stuff, which I realize Walgreens is a nice spot to get some gems.
Yeah, we were talking about it before the podcast, man. It's like, Walgreens is just stacked.
Yeah, I wouldn't say stacked, but they tend to have some gems that like you tend to be looking for at other places, like a Toys R Us, rest in peace, and
or
like
Walmart,
or,
that's what I'm saying. It's
or Target.
You have better chances of actually running into something you're looking for at Walgreens, which is weird nowadays.
Which I know I said I found the Power Rangers Zeo Gold Ranger before, and I found that I found one, and the Walgreens that is near me, as I went to go pick up a package of FedEx, they happen to have 2 Gold Rangers there. So I just ended up like, fuck it. You know what? I think it's time to just buy another one so I can commit to the customization process, because I do plan on making that quote unquote gold into star gold. So yes. But I also found the Zeo Red Ranger as well, which suffers from the same issue as the Gold Ranger, where
it's the dull gold.
That dull gold, I don't even know what to call it. It's just like it's just dull. Yeah, it's not what it should be. It should be like a bright colored, shiny gold. And I want to customize that because like I feel like Zeo. And I've mentioned it before in the podcast, that the Zeo Rangers are some of my favorite designed Power Rangers.
Yeah, they were, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, I think they're like greatly designed. The Gold Ranger is my favorite, and like I'm still waiting for SH Figure Arts.
He had a pyramid. A pyramid.
He had a freaking pyramidas. Yeah. Funny enough, when I worked in retail and I would use the forklift. Every time I go into the forklift, I would say I call upon the power of Pyramidas, and I'll jump into the fucking forklift.
Yes, you
because
would.
I am that much of a fucking Power Ranger nerd. Whenever I just draw random shit,
you just do Pyramidas.
I
suffer from Pyramidas. It's a new shirt.
Oh man,
I suffer from Pyramidas.
Oh man. Shit.
I'm sorry.
Whenever, like, you know, if I'm just randomly doodling anything, and I think I stated on the podcast too, I always do the shapes of the Zeo crystals, of like, you know, the triangles, the stars, just basic shapes. So I tend to do those shapes all the time. So it's like those Rangers really, and plus the Gold Ranger was the one time where it's like my biggest markout moment for a Power Ranger ever, which was the return of Jason.
Yeah.
Because he was always my favorite. Tommy was never my favorite because he took Jason's spot. Because I saw Jason as like he works out. He's a leader. He was always out of all the Rangers, out of any seasons, he always came off to me as a true leader.
The way you feel about Jason is the way I feel about Cyclops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like same parallel where this motherfucker worked hard to get where he was. Who cares if he's a dick? He got the job done and he led the team right. And then here comes Wolverine.
Oh God!
Don't get me wrong, I love
fucking parallel.
Yeah, but you know the edgelord comes in and takes over, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Wolverine can't be leading the fucking X-Men, dude.
No.
Like, no, like. You put Scott back. Yeah, he's got some girl troubles. That's okay. He's still a strong leader, so fuck you.
Because, like, I say that Tommy had the coolest costumes, and he was, like, he was cool because he was there, and he wasn't, like, he was thrown in your face, but not as much, like, because, like, in the episodes he was there, mainly because of the Japanese episodes, for the Green Ranger.
It was meaningful.
He didn't show, because in the Japanese episodes, the Green Ranger was a brother of the Red Ranger, and he would show up whenever the Rangers really needed help. He wasn't always there. He wasn't always with them. Yeah. So they had to kind of work that into the show. So every time Tommy came in, it's not like he was always morphing with the rest. He would show up whenever they needed extra help. Mm-hmm. And design-wise, aesthetically, like, Tommy just was blessed with, like, the cool green costume, the Dragon Zord, the dagger, and he didn't have to jump into his Zord. He had to just play some fucking music to control it.
It's fucking right, he did.
And then with the White Ranger, getting a totally different costume from a totally different Japanese series, which, funny enough, is a little boy in the Japanese series.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, and it's always funny, like, how they worked in those two
how they, like, cut them in.
Yeah, because especially watching as an adult, you can tell it's like these aren't on the same show. Because those two Zords aren't together until they got the Thunder Zords. But no, Jason was always my guy, and he always came off as a leader. He had the presence of a leader. Yeah, he was teaching fucking karate classes at the youth center.
That's right.
At what had to be maybe 16, 17.
Yeah, think about that.
And drinking smoothies.
Yeah, drinking smoothies and looking the way he did, doing freaking bench pressing competitions, competing with Bulk of all fucking people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like I remember those episodes like the back of my fucking hand. And fucking
So
Jason
wild.
was always my guy. So him coming back, and when he left Zeo, and that was like the end of Zeo was right into the transition into Turbo Power Rangers movie.
Right. Yep.
So
I thought was it Ninja before that, or
it was the
Ninja-
Aqua Rangers, but they were Ninja Rangers, but they're the Aqua Rangers.
Oh, okay.
And then, but it was the Aqua Rangers, and then
you're right.
and then they got into Zeo. Before the Aqua Rangers is when they got the Ninjetti powers and all that shit.
Ninjetti corkscrew kick.
But but then when the way Jason went out, he went out holding hands with a chick. Like he got to have his love. Like he got to just walk away. It was like there was no shame. It wasn't him just disappearing. He got to just walk away.
OG.
But then he got to come back in the movie along with Kimberly.
Awesome.
I don't know what the hell their deal was together.
Yeah,
but like they were scuba diving. They end up getting turned evil, and then he's beating the shit out of Tommy in the movie, and I fucking loved it.
Yep, I'm sure you were.
Turbo.
Huge mark.
Fuck yeah.
Well, sweet.
Yes. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my toy finds. Power Rangers, like the Zeo.
But it meant a lot.
It means
That's
a lot
important.
to me too, because I think that even though I'm not a big Tommy guy, the Red Ranger Zeo, like I think, like the Zeo figures are the main ones I really want, because I want those to be SH figure arts. I feel like it's a damn shame those don't exist.
Not by now.
Like you got all these other ones that we're seeing.
Well, we might as well touch real quick that now that Hasbro has the license for Saban and Power Rangers, there's probably a good chance you're gonna see a lot more of the like figures you don't usually get to see.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna start having Build-A-Zords, I bet.
Yeah.
You know, if they're gonna start having Build-A-Zords or Build-A-Villains. You know, like Build-A-Goldar would be really smart. You know,
Zed.
Yeah,
that's something that's really missing too. Is the villains,
and the villains is the biggest thing that I've always wanted out of Power Ranger toys that I almost never got. I would get a Zed like that.
He looks amazing.
I would get Zed like that. I really, you know, my favorite one is Jungle. My favorite one is Jungle Fury.
Pudgy,
you know,
I think it was Pudgy Pig.
Oh yeah.
That was the first episode I ever watched was that villain.
What was the Dort villain like the Bone Soldier? What was that dude's name?
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Rito.
Yeah, Guido.
Rito. No, Rito.
Rito.
So Rito Repulso's brother.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I really wanted that. Like, there's.
He came in as such a badass, and then he just went out as a doofus.
But you know, same with Goldar. Goldar was my favorite design villain, and then he turned into Triple H. Yeah. So I don't know.
Which I always find funny. Like, look, like it would have been awesome. Like if they were to redo that series and try and introduce some of the story arcs that were within the Japanese version. It would be fucking nuts because the Japanese version is so watchable.
I think if I were them, what I would do is I would definitely do like a multiverse gimmick, and then have them
like they're doing with the comics.
Yeah, and then I'd have Super Sentai converge with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And then do a crossover like that.
That'll be a fun thing. Like I feel like it's weird how they haven't done animated movies.
I mean,
like they can do so much with animated movies with Power Rangers.
I agree.
Like I think that would be a good form that would do the storylines a little bit more justice, especially if you can have them continuous,
for sure.
Like they're doing with the DC
Especially
movies.
Be as gritty and real, you know, as they can, because
they've
been landing some
especially if they want to do the whole
stuff,
multiverse thing that they're doing with the Shattered Grid and all that. And I think that'll be a great, especially with like growing up as a kid, like you see Power Rangers in these cartoon images on all the products that they sell, but they're not in cartoon form in the least bit.
I think the next coming years are gonna really decipher and decide how that's gonna go, and if that's an option. Because when you cross into animation, Saban and that studio don't have a lot of money, I feel like, especially after the Power Rangers movie didn't perform the way they wanted it to, even though it was critically well received. It just wasn't financially. So that would have jump-started like all new cartoons and stuff like that. So now with Hasbro taking over the toy market, I think they're going to try and sneak in through the back doorway like Transformers does.
Yeah.
Where Transformers make so much money from the toys, they're able to fuel other medias. Mm-hmm. So that's how they always get new shows, is because the new shows can create new toys sell to all the guys who love Transformers. Yeah. I think the exact same thing can happen with Power Rangers because it's the same demographic. If you keep releasing Power Rangers and they keep selling so well, then chances are you're probably going to get a Netflix series or something like that.
And going back onto the villains being released as action figures, like just getting those, like it would mean so much to me to have a Pudgy Pig on my fucking shelf.
It would be sweet.
Like and having Goldar and Rito and just put them together and fucking Bulk and Skull. Like I would love Bulk and Skull's action figures.
I bet you and see. The thing
give me a Bulk and Skull 2-pack. I want an Ernie's fucking bar set.
That'd be so sweet.
Oh my god.
You can build that.
I'll fucking build it. I'm building that shit tonight.
See what I mean, folks?
And then you can even have like...
If you can build a couch, you can...
I had a little cardboard, those little cardboard sets. I remember Star Wars had them way back in the day. Like, you didn't get the toys, but you get this little cardboard set and these little images and all that stuff. I had a Command Center little set, and it was like a 3D image set that had like the wall with Zordon on it, and then you had the panels.
Oh
there. Yeah! Like I remember having that, and just even though it scale wise was probably the size of my laptop here, but and the toys were the size of the height of where this microphone is compared to it. Right. But I remember having that and just having those type of sets. Like they would make so much money. Just having that, not that they weren't already making money with those legacy toys and stuff. I'm borderline ready to impulse buy the freaking legacy Gold Ranger staff, which I believe is like $200 on fucking Amazon.
Wait, didn't the Gold Ranger staff get found? Did you check the posse? Because the guy had two. He found one.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I'll look for it later, but
they should at least have the characters outside of that, outside of their outfits. I would have been cool with the Tommy,
interchangeable heads.
I think that's really all they would need is the heads.
Outfit,
you mean street clothes?
Yeah, that would be kind of cool to have.
It's actually $140. I'm tempted.
Well, you keep up these commissions. The cool thing, Hasbro is doing so good with fucking... I think they've dropped this year or this quarter in sales, but I think that the product that they're putting out is so good right now, especially with Marvel Legends, that I think this Power Ranger thing could really just set the bar.
Take over that fucking aisle.
Yeah, I think I
want to
set
see
the
that.
bar.
I want to see what sets they could potentially come out with, and
because,
March kick their fucking doors open. It's you need to fucking do this.
Oh, and I read that KB Toys is for sure coming back.
That's awesome. We need
so it. Now, lots of big news, lots of good stuff coming out for toys, man. Especially, I'm really hype. If any of you guys out there have been listening to this podcast lately, you guys know that I have a huge heart-on for the Storm Collectibles brand, which is my favorite company making toys right now because I'm a huge FGC mark. I love fighting games. I've grown up with them. They're my favorite type of video games, even though I'm not the best at them. But this company gets it. All their figures are in the same scale as each other, and they have SNK licenses, they have Capcom licenses, they have Mortal Kombat licenses, and they're doing Injustice toys as well. So, all of these characters I'm absolutely in love with. And they just announced that they are doing a Fist of the North Star line, which if I could compare Fist of the North Star to anything relative to other people's interests, I'd say Christianity or Catholicism. Yeah. Yep, that's me. That is my religion. You sons of bitches, you can worship your Christ, but my Christ makes you pay by imploding. So that's the way Daddy likes it. So so this is huge news for me. So we got making big moves, especially in the toy realm, especially in this company. I'm really excited for that stuff. Real quick, I would like to talk about the pickups I just made.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm also, I'd say, pound for pound, greatest stateside company, I'd say, is NECA. NECA is making the most quality figures for the price. I mean, and it's insane. Like, the last NECA figure I bought was the Clan Leader Predator, but one of my favorites was the Deluxe Kratos that they made. That comes with all his weapons and stuff from the original God of War games from 1 through 3. But now with the new God of War that has come out, they released a new figure for that game, and I picked up the new Kratos for that, the bearded Papa Kratos. And this, I haven't opened him yet.
WrestleMania Triple H Kratos.
Yeah, the WrestleMania Triple H Kratos. But I haven't opened him yet, but I don't need to tell you right now that this motherfucker is well worth your money. I think he's $25. And he's insane. He's got like 30. He's got
that is a steal.
He's got like 30 points of articulation. You know, he's got soft goods. He's got hard plastic, soft plastic, rubber, everything that you need, so you can still move him. The paint application's insane. I mean, for $25, you really can't beat.
I'm open to cosplay as him. I just have to make a foam beard because I can't grow my own.
Well, you and I, looks like we're going to be in the same boat.
I don't know, anything with anything in a box that says Leviathan Axe, you have to get.
Yeah, you have to get. Let's be real.
Like, I see like the weapons from like most games or anything. It just like it really tickles my fancy when like in the prop, like at least in my mindset of when it comes to props, because I want to build, and I've seen that in like they have their rubber version in freaking Best Buy.
Oh, they do.
But I've seen other people like work on it and make their versions and all that, and I love the idea of just like looking at something that, even though I'm not entrenched into the God of World, like, you know, video game or anything, which I probably will eventually just kind of cave in and get the game and play
you probably
it.
will.
But like just seeing the weapons, like I want to make that, and I really break it down and try to figure out how can I make that, how can I incorporate the vinyl cutter, how can I like work in some material.
Let's do it.
And wrap around some fucking leather and vinyl.
I think you got it with the foam beard, and I think that's your first step.
Yeah. I really want to make another. I do have a cap. I do have this, like, the base cap that I started with because I intended to make a Vegeta head, but, like, I never got around to it. I was having issues with the hot glue or whatever. But, like, so I have a cap, but I want to make another hair piece, and I'm thinking just a simple, just slick hair back hair piece or whatever, or something like that.
Do something.
But I want to see, like, I think that'll be a challenge because it's a matter of figuring out, like, how to properly get it stay on there.
Just like wrap it around your ears?
I guess so, like simple Santa beard type style, having it wrap around my ears. But yeah, we'll see.
Try it out. And then I also collect WWE Elites because there are wrestlers that I really like.
Well, there's some elites that are really worth it, especially me.
True.
in this at this time where it's like I used to have a shitload of elites, but I ended up selling a bunch of them, and I got rid of them in my whole like bitterness of wrestling. I got rid of all my wrestling stuff, but like now I'm very selective. And this is definitely one of those figures I would love to get my hands on.
So I just picked up the King of the Cruiserweights, Neville, which was probably my favorite worker, pure athlete worker in the WWE prior to him leaving. I mean, his heel run made me so happy. He was doing so good. 205 Live launched. He was being a dick. He was being great at it. The fact that he could be a pure asshole and still do the kind of moveset he did and still get heat is
and
like...
even hold back the way he should as a heel.
Yes.
Which not a lot of guys end up doing.
Yeah, true.
They kind of need that stuff. They need those reactions and all that to stay interesting, but not Neville. You didn't need that.
He didn't need it, and that's what I love. So he comes with the Cruiserweight title. He comes with the flight stand, so he can do all these poses.
Which I gotta say, like, because I see a lot of the sculpts for the titles, for championships, and that is probably the nicest looking one of all the belts.
And it's got like a gray wash over the silver, so like you can see all the details in each piece of the belt. Like it's wild. Plus the likeness is so dead on that if you look at the figure head on and then flip it, you're like, yup, that's that guy.
Yep. Now you can actually put the two together because you have that and your Austin Aries.
So I sure do. And then they can both get screwed by the company and go their separate ways.
Austin Aries can win every freaking belt.
And then I got to put all the belts on Austin Aries because I forgot. on the Wrestle Nation forum that I'm a part of, I think somebody posted a picture of him. I think they called him Diet Thanos or or like Carney Thanos or some shit because he's just got all the belts. I thought that was good. God. But yeah, man, these two pickups are well worth your money. I definitely recommend you guys go out and pick them up if you're fans of God of War.
Find them and then send them to you so you can sell them.
Yes, that too.
I gotta find me one because this is one of those ones that because a lot of these figures, and we were talking about it before, how they'll have these weird sculpts or these weird head expressions with these weird expressions. Like Seth Rollins comes to mind because he always has like his mouth open screaming, and it's just horrible looking. But when you have them have a plain face of them just looking serious, it looks awesome because that best represents them. Yep. And that's usually what I want in a figure. I don't want a figure of my favorite wrestler with the mouth fucking open. That's stupid.
Unless it's Festus. We need to get that.
That makes sense. But one of my favorite things to do, and I've been doing it ever since I was a kid, making the belts better. And even so much so, and I believe I talked about it on the podcast, of using the ad for the replica championship belts as as taking those images and putting them on little cardboard paper, putting them on electrical tape, and making belts using that because I was able to have the belts be flimsy. These straps, and these straps fucking suck. So these is a tip for anyone who actually collects wrestling figures, likes to customize their own shit. One of my favorite things, especially since I have the vinyl cutter, I can now do whatever colors I want for the straps. Really nice. But I would take just thin vinyl and I would cut it into the shape. I use a nail clipper to snip off those hooks on the back of the plates of these belts. I will crazy glue it onto the strap, and then what I would do, because I see a lot of people that use Velcro. I've seen people. There's a community on Instagram that they make custom belts, but they use Velcro all the time, and it looks silly to me.
Because Velcro is too girthy, I think.
Yeah, it is. What I use, and it's very inexpensive, it's very accessible, is rubber magnets. You see rolls of them. They're not too strong, and they're not too strong, but they're not too weak. They're strong. They're perfect for these action figures for the purpose. And what you do is you put one piece on one side and one piece on the opposing side, and then it just snaps on. And what I would do for the aesthetic of it was use gold fabric paint to make the dots for the snaps, and the belts would look perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I wouldn't have that unnecessary bulkiness from the hooks. It would just look, even the back of the belt would look like it was covered because it has the snaps in there, or it has the screws in there for the belts, and it was flimsy. You can put it over their shoulder properly instead of it staying stiff. It's one of my favorite things to do, and that's kind of something I even made some money making belts like that for other people and stuff.
Sweet.
So
I mean, man, it's a market.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people that collect them. So everybody out there, buy more Elites, and then we'll make more tiny belts for you.
For sure.
So TJ, you what's your latest figure acquisition? What do you got, Leonard?
Actually, something pretty high end.
Oh yeah. What do you got?
The Spider-Man Homecoming Tech Spidey.
Yeah. So how do you feel about it?
Words can't describe it. And then I saw Infinity War, and now I'm hurting again.
No, you're fine. You love it. Spoiler alert: Spider-Man's a piece of shit and dies.
So bogus. No, I'm talking about the outfit, Iron Spidey.
Iron Spidey.
I'm gonna need
it. You need
now.
to get yourself a prime. Any Avenger figure of just a box filled with dust.
Yeah. the sandbox.
That is the figure everyone gotta have.
Do you guys see the meme now where Deadpool is he has a snowblower and Steve Rogers is like, "What are you doing?"
I haven't seen that one.
No. Also, if you guys didn't know, Walmart has exclusive covers to Blu-rays of classic movies that Deadpool has just been on the cover of.
Man, I forgot to fucking look for that.
It's wild, dude. God. So there's I don't know, you name it. There's a Terminator one.
Yeah.
It's
just movies you just wouldn't think they would do, but they just
classic movies.
Those are the movies. Those are the versions of the movies that have. If you like different covers, those are the ones that have.
It's like variant covers, and everybody likes Deadpool essentially in one form or another.
It's just silliness.
And then, so that's Deadpool's taking over the world, man.
Yeah.
Rumor has it is I'm hearing Juggernaut is probably.
I've been hearing those rumors too. That's interesting.
I haven't heard anything about it yet.
Really excited for that. But that's just me.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you got your high end Spider-Man. So your Spider-Man's your dude, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it only makes sense that's your main.
Him and Bucky.
That's right. And you have a Hot Toys Bucky, if I'm not mistaken. I know, because he's helping my Hot Toys Captain America punch a random SWAT team member in the face.
I look at the whole him having Bucky situation as him owning Bucky, but you confiscating it for your own collection. Like he has a Bucky, but I have a Bucky.
We have a Bucky. Since I put him in the basement, I claim all rights to his toys up here. That wraps up the toy section.
Yeah, that wraps that up. I wanted to just kind of introduce just some topic-based stuff instead of just kind of going into
the usual route.
The usual route of stuff. There's not a whole lot in the entertainment world that we feel is necessary to talk about.
Not this week.
But so I thought it'd be cool to just bring in some kind of thinking back, some nostalgic stuff, and we're all about nostalgia in here, obviously, as we were talking about Power Rangers for such a long period.
Clearly. But we're all ancient. We're all in our 30s, and we're talking about toys, so you're welcome.
So I'm all about like learning what people's firsts are when it comes to certain things. Yeah. It's always an interesting topic conversation, and first things that kind of came to mind today, even before I came here, was wrestling, toys, and movies. So first off with wrestling, of course we're going to go into wrestling later on, but like...
So is this like what first made you a wrestling fan? Like
pretty much. Like I'm thinking of two cases, and I'm going to ask you first, Sean, then we'll go to you, Leonard, and then we'll talk about me a little bit. But what first caught your eye in wrestling as a fan, and then what really made it click for you as not just a fan, but to appreciate the art of it?
Okay, so I got into wrestling late, and by late, I gotta say, I was watching the Monday Night Wars, right? But I was a part of it. I'd say I got into it in the mid to late 90s. Mm-hmm. And that being said, that was when WCW was starting to get fucking stupid. But I didn't know, right? I didn't know. I thought it was the superior brand. So, the WWF was like running these like real angles, real storylines. Pillman was losing his mind. The Attitude Era was starting up. I loved Stone Cold Steve Austin, do not get me wrong, but the second him and The Rock weren't on the screen, my ass was back to WCW watching Goldberg squash the same guy.
Watching that undefeated number build up every week.
Yeah, I watched him squash Jerry Flynn twice on one Nitro.
Oh, God.
The beginning of the card and the middle. He came back out. But so what got me in, I'm going to have to say, was the NWO.
Okay.
So the NWO got me in. So I knew about Macho Man. I liked Macho Man, but I got Edge Macho Man.
Okay.
Black and white. So I was like, fuck yeah. And he was rude to his girl. And that was cool apparently back then.
Yeah. You can do it then.
Yeah.
You can get paid
they were
fucking assholes.
They were all like swagging around, talking shit, not caring about nobody, and then just doing a bunch of moves to people and they didn't get up.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. and then the Lord of it was Goldberg, who came out, and I'm like, oh, they build people like this. Like, people like this are apparently made in factories, and they can't be stopped. Because he just annihilated everyone. I just loved seeing people have no chance of winning.
Yeah.
Like, that's all that got me into wrestling.
I think that's what makes Braun Strowman so much fun to watch.
Yeah, because it's a callback, right? I feel like it's
especially when you see him shuffle to the outside of the ring and just shoulder tackle Kevin Owens.
That shit's great.
Oh, it's gold.
And then what was the other one?
So what got you appreciating wrestling as like an art?
Okay.
We're looking at it through a different lens.
All right, now this is perfect. See, because what got me in was clearly gimmicks. Was the nonsense, the chaos of the show. Right? I loved it when people got hit in the face with beer. I thought it was great. Because I was like, yeah, you think they suck. They're the best. But when I really started to appreciate it as an art was probably... the classic matches that Undertaker would have and the Cruiserweight division of WCW. That's when I was like, okay, there's a distinct difference. Because Undertaker and Austin and all those matches, sure, they were bred in gimmick, but they told the best story. And the Cruiserweights I loved because they did the coolest moves, but the best cruiserweights were the ones that actually got hurt. Were actually selling and taking damage and telling more of a story. So, I really liked Jericho, his WCW run especially. I loved Dean Malenko. I loved Rey Mysterio, Guerrero, all the quintessential guys. But my favorite pro wrestler of all time is still Chris Benoit. And that's the guy's intensity was unmatched, and he would get in there and I felt like people had to fight for their life against that guy, and it was just pro wrestling. He was the rabid Wolverine. I was a big mark of Wolverine and Cyclops, so I was just like, well, fuck, this guy is like,
you put some goggles on this guy and he's fucking wet dream.
Well, yeah, right, some goggles and some claws, he's like both. But, he's like the short, scrappy, fucking impossible to defeat, fucking gassed up bulldog. Like, I just thought he was the shit. So, that's what did it for me.
Right.
Leonard?
Yeah. Senior literacy.
So, the first one was, what got you into wrestling?
Yeah, what got you into wrestling as a fan? Like,
Okay.
Like, just watching it really with no context of, like, how everything's put together.
Honestly, I think Hogan did a little bit. Just like seeing like no holds barred and stuff. Like,
what's the second thing that grabbed you?
Good, that's cool.
Well, I mean,
we all heard that.
No, that's cool. Go ahead.
No, but who really caught me in was X-Pac, honestly.
Okay.
The whole story with Monday Night Raw and him fighting Razor Ramon, and then they had a rematch the next week or whatever, and they were fighting, and Razor Ramon put up like $15,000, so... And in the middle match, when 1, 2, 3 Kid knew he couldn't win, he just took the money and ran. And I remember Jerry the King Lawler is commentating throughout the whole thing. He's like, he's probably ran home in his trailer and he threw all the money on his bed. He's counting it right now. Everybody's just still trying to find him.
Oh, that was back when commentary was fun.
Yeah.
It is now, thanks to the fucking Corey Graves and Marinallo. But go ahead.
Yeah.
No, but just like that was just like, man, that's really cool. Like somebody like that can actually overpower the bad guy, the guy who would throw toothpicks at people and stuff. Like it trapped me. And then seeing all the characters like the Crush and Papa Shango and Ultimate Warrior and just
so like those gimmicks really pulled you in.
Yeah. It's like, and every week you'd be like, okay, who's gonna be on next? And then when those guys would show up, you just kind of be them, like acting out with your brothers in the living room and stuff.
And now, real quick, I should have to preface mine with the fact that, I was reading comics. I was really big into the 90s boom, because that is the perfect age, right? Because by the time the 90s boom happened with the X-Men and then Image was formed, I would be like 10, we're talking 9, 10, 11, 12 in that succession. So we're talking... I wasn't watching wrestling, but I was deeply into the X-Men and Image Comics when all the artists left Marvel to do Image. And then a couple years later, we're talking 96, 97, I'm watching WCW and shit and the Monday Night Wars. And now I got a whole bunch of cast of colorful characters that I'm used to reading about, and then I have a bunch of and then I see them in live action. So to this day, I still don't understand how there can be any human being that loves cape comics and doesn't like professional wrestling.
Yeah.
It like doesn't make any sense to me. Because they are one and the fucking same.
Yeah.
All right, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I would say that was right around the late 80s into the 90s. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of fell out of it because I moved or whatnot, but then fell right back into it right in the Attitude Era. My brother was like, showing me all these wrestling action figures, and then I would see early stages of Edge right after he broke from the Ministry, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then the very definition of wrestling to me, I thought was The Rock. Yeah. He just had everything. The way he would talk to people. Mm-hmm. He'd go out and he would just sit there and captivate millions of people just standing on a turnbuckle just looking at people. Yeah. And then finally raising up his microphone, and as soon as they're about to say something, he just stopped.
With the crowd, which,
it's like, it was just...
But you almost feel like they're trying so hard to do it Roman, but they're lacking one thing, and that is... They're forgetting the fact that what they wanted to do with Rock didn't work because they needed to turn him heel in order for him to eventually become the babyface that they wanted to be. And that's what they need Roman to do. Not in the sense of like John Cena. John Cena is a different case. Yeah. Where like you need to turn him heel so people can love him. Like Cena's past that. He doesn't need people to love him or hate him.
Cena was, but it's because Cena was so good at both facets.
Yeah.
That he didn't need to be built up traditionally. Yeah. But and also remember, he was a heel first. So technically he did go through that change just in reverse.
It's just people wanting him to do that now. It just doesn't make any sense. He doesn't need that.
The problem is like Roman was actually pretty cool when he was in the Shield and everything. Like all three of them guys.
Well, he was like if anything, he was like the silent enforcer. If anything. Like, he didn't really have to talk much, and when he did, he didn't really say much. Mm-hmm. He didn't have to, because, like, Seth and Dean, like, had all the charisma, and they had all the character. Yeah. Especially Dean, like, in the beginning, and also bounced around as, the Shield was building a little bit more. But, like, Roman really needs a heel turn, and needs to really get that, connection with the crowd that you can only get after really being able to just be a fucking asshole and let loose. When you're trying to do what they're telling you to do, it's really hard.
Yeah, I still think they dropped the ball. Like again, I know it was bringing up a bad subject, or at least bringing a bad sunlight on the E. But the fact when he failed his wellness policy, and he had to leave, and he came back, and he had the freaking King Neville beard. Like at that point, I would have been like, you know what, I feel like I had to take this to be better, and I was kind of be relatable in a way. Well,
you don't want to put over the substance.
Yeah,
but at the same time, you can come back and say, I don't owe you people a damn thing. So
that would work too, yeah.
So I mean, what I think, I like how this went into a conversation about Roman. Honestly, I think it needs to, because it's cool because we talk about the state of things today as it was yesteryear. And I think one of my favorite phrases is penny smart, dollar stupid, which means what you're doing right now is smart to make some pennies, but in the long run, you're going to lose money because it's not a long-lasting good decision. Mm-hmm. It's just a Band-Aid. And that's what I think is Roman, right? I think, just like Craven says, that in the long run, if you want them to have a connection with him, you have to turn him heel too. Because that's how anti-heroes are born. Mm-hmm. That's how people get to know his character. You know what I mean?
He will be able to have so much more depth.
Yes.
He'll be able to explain so much, where as a face, you can't really do that. Sure, on a week-to-week basis on television, it's so much easier to kind of establish a character as a face, but when you're a heel, you can do so much more.
So much more. Yeah, and it's easy to like a heel that does a good job at being one.
The best one recently, especially right now, Seth Rollins. Mm-hmm. He is the biggest baby face they have.
And I honest to God, the only way that was gonna happen is if you turned him that corporate heel that you turned him into first. Yeah. Because then people got burn it down. That came from going against
Triple H
as the heel.
I have to say this about the burn it down thing, because I will literally, if I'm like going through WWE Network to watch a Seth Rollins match, and like I specifically make sure I watch his entrance so I can hear the crowd say "burn it down," because it gives me goosebumps how fucking awesome that is.
It's so sweet. You know, it's even sweeter if his song kept lyrics. Burn it down. I'm done. Singer walks out the studio, takes the $100, goes home.
But I just love that so much. I think it's because like when it first came out with the whole "Burn It Down" thing, like in the music, I was like, that's pretty cool. But then when the crowd started catching on and started doing it with it, when I hear him, I was like, I fall in love with the fact that the crowd is so connected to this person that is working their ass off.
Correct.
And he did everything right. Everything was done
Everything was done correctly. Yes.
For
correct.
him. Like
you brought him in his heels. Then you brought him in his heels. Then they turned face because they were anti-establishment. Then they broke up because of Seth, right? That turned him heel. So he's heel because he works for the establishment. Well, he's anti-establishment again, which means he's immediately a face because that's what he was the first time. That's how they got to being a face the first time. Yeah. And then he beats the establishment, so now everybody's like, yeah, burn it down.
Yep. Burn it all down, which you don't want kids saying in school, but fuck it.
It's
Seth fucking Rollins.
Curb stomp.
But yeah, so what made you appreciate the art of wrestling? Yeah.
I don't know.
I was saying just because we went off on went from The Rock to Roman to Seth, burn it down.
Right. You are one of the more talented wrestlers I've ever seen, Lenard. So I'm very curious. This can go in accordance to what made you want to become a professional wrestler.
Like when did it shift from like just being a fan to just like finally watching it? Like when you finally got into doing wrestling, you started watching it from a totally different lens as like you're trying to learn.
Okay. I guess sadly it was during the late 90s. It was that whole Jackass mode, you know, like MTV. Doing all stunts and stuff like that. And I was like, I can do that. I just felt like I could honestly do that.
Run into walls.
You know, and then the Tough Enough thing happened. I was like, sweet, I can
shoot fireworks out of your ass.
Yeah, you know. Well, but it was just like any of the stuff that they could physically do. I think I felt I could do. And then once I saw an opportunity to kind of
do it,
I was like, okay, let's try it. And then as soon as I took the first few bumps and I was learning stuff, and I guess I would start watching matches and be like, okay, and then seeing how it progressed as I was training, it just, you know, I kind of appreciate it more as, okay, it's not just, it's not always just about the characters, it's not always about the wrestling, it's just about all of it, you know, it's just, it's a culmination.
It's not just entertainment, it is fucking, it's like teachings and training.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know, that to me, that's just when it started, but.
Yeah.
What about you, Craven?
Yes.
All right. So for me, initially the first beginning as a young kid was Ultimate Warrior, but can't remember too much from then. I just remember being attracted to the whole idea of this insane god-looking type man with this makeup and running and having all this energy.
Oh, yeah.
That attracted me. But
unbeatable gods.
But what really hooked me was the whole initially the Stone Cold Steve Austin winning the WWF Championship from Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon wanting him to be a corporate boy, but Austin being completely anti-establishment, not wanting to do that, and just giving the middle finger to the boss. And it's and I still kind of, I still hold that with me to this day. Even being able to work for myself, even working for places whether it's retail or a desk job or retail again or a warehouse, I was completely fuck them. Even in school, I flicked off my shop teacher because he pissed me off. I might
need this someday.
And I got sent home for giving my teacher the middle finger. Yeah. But but no, that really held true with me. It's just being, because I just related to that as not just redneck guy just beating up their boss and drinking beer. It's it's beyond that. I connected with it because I felt I had this connection with the idea of a guy that he wants to go his own way, he wants to do his own thing, but he still but in his own way, he's kind of like a good guy. He's like, not a good guy, not a bad guy. He's the guy. But like, but no, like just being a role model without really trying to be a role model, like that unintentional role model thing. And it was at that point with the Austin versus McMahon that really hooked me as a fan, and I started getting into it. Now when Kurt Angle started coming in.
Yeah.
That's when I started watching it from a totally different perspective.
Kurt Angle.
He was so good.
Because
when he first came.
Yeah. Like I started, I realized like how natural he was in his transition from the, Greco-Roman style to the, squared circle style to like just him. And I look back on it now and I think how like his transition from being the Olympics, and he should be this serious guy, but he was able to embrace this character, this cocky character. He's better than everyone, but like even everyone in the crowd, and he's smarter, and he has like all these things tied to him. He was just like brought up like perfectly in that scenario. So I watched him a lot, and then watching guys like Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho, I was able to watch like those guys because I didn't really watch WCW. I didn't I would flip through like if Thunder was on, because I think it was on a Wednesday. It was the only night there wasn't any wrestling. That's when I would probably watch it, but I didn't really know who anyone was.
How can you miss Sid Vicious, the Millennium Man, get an amazing record like Goldberg? You just
So I'm gonna have to say that you're really good at wrestling right now, I think, because you didn't watch WCW. Because that shit, man, okay, so I'd say about twice a month I'll go back and watch a WCW pay-per-view or Nitro from my childhood, from the heyday 95 through 99 era, and fuck me running. Let me tell you, there are some gems. You want to talk about psychology? Don't. Because it didn't fucking exist. Holy crap. I watched a match with like fucking Prince Iaukea and like, I'm sorry, his second gimmick was the Artist, formerly known as Prince Iaukea, and he wrestled someone like it was like Disco Inferno. And it was the shits. But it was so damn funny. People, like, every match had it. So this match had, like, interference twice.
I didn't get this.
Okay, so this, back then I didn't care. But this match had interference twice. The guy that was doing the Hurricane Rana was selling longer than the guy who's taking it. There are botches everywhere. Near-death experiences happened at least once every other match. Motherfuckers are doing, like, brain busters outside of the ring, and I swear to God they're not telling the dude before they do them. It's just, like, like, nobody's selling shit. And at the end of the match, everyone's confused. But it didn't matter because the crowd's high. So I'm saying, man,
they're there because they got their free tickets.
My goodness. I'm just saying, man. Like back then, fuck. If you wore an NWO shirt, psychology meant nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, that's funny because because back in that time, like I had we talked about it multiple times before. I had the black box. So I was able to watch the pay-per-views all the time. WWE was like the main thing. It was like religion to me to watch, wrestling every, Monday, Thursday, and all that stuff. And I look forward to watching certain guys. And it's funny to watch because sometimes I'll throw on a random pay-per-view from around that time. Those prime years was between like probably I think maybe 2000 and maybe 2004. That really stick with me, that I can just kind of throw those random pay-per-views between those years.
And then be good.
And just kind of put them on. Because I also had those recorded on VHS. I would watch those repeatedly and all the time. And even back in my day of making title belts out of cardboard.
You'd have those on in the background.
Like, I would have it on the background. I'll play with my wrestling figures and have that on the background. But also, it's like back when they started introducing the graphic image of the title belt on the screen. I would freeze it. I would pause it, and that's how before I even had internet, that's how I would sketch.
That's awesome.
Like the belt and try to figure out how does the WWF title look, and that's how I made like so many versions of that belt just out of cardboard.
Awesome.
But like But no, like for the wrestling, like the guys I named, like Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero especially, like, you know, and also watching Austin, like I dug Austin's aggressive nature in the ring.
Yeah,
like,
I liked Austin so much because he did so little, but it meant so much. Like the motherfucker did a neck breaker, a backdrop, and a bunch of punches.
Yeah,
and it was still like. He knew how to put it together. It just
all worked. He was great at that brawler style, just fighting outside the ring and just like making a match work because the people cared about him. He had that connection because he, like we were talking about with Rollins, talking about with Roman, he came in starting out, you know, with, you know, a silly gimmick and starting off as a heel, and then he was really a heel, and then he was so good at being a heel, people fucking wanted him to be a face. Yeah. And he became a face, and he's like neutral and all that stuff. I think he was the reason they had to introduce a neutral option into video games.
In the games.
Yeah. I think that's the same thing with Angle, because Angle, again, as you were saying, he was supposed to be brought up as a serious, you know, Olympic type, where you could see the side where he was actually able to be entertaining because he could laugh at himself, you know, he could be the goofy guy, and it I don't know, it just
he just sprinkled he sprinkled a little goof to his character, and it got him far.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he sprinkled that goof, he became a heel. People hated him, and they needed to hate him before they respected him. It's just like when he came in trying to be a face first, and he got nowhere.
Yep.
He got nowhere, and he was frustrated. So then he didn't want to be a heel because he had medals, and then finally he caved in, and it was a fucking godsend.
Yep.
So all right, so those workers got you in, right? Those are the ones that made you think it was art or that it was athleticism, right?
Them and like The Rock, of course. Like, funny enough, The Rock was who I emulated the movements. So like when I finally,
it's a good one. It's a good one to emulate.
Yeah, and because even back then I was good at like taking what I saw and trying to emulate it best I could. So I saw The Rock, and this was around the time Tough Enough came on. So like I would take little things that I learned, and at that same time I was able to get into a ring. I was 14 years old, and I was able to get in the ring. Had my first match in a fucking empty fucking thing, but it was, I guess, on public access.
That's how it works.
But like I got into the ring, took the bumps, and the first time I got to hit the ropes, I hit them perfectly, 3 steps, hit them because I kept thinking, this is how The Rock does it. And to this day, that's how I hit the ropes. So when I came to Minnesota, Sheriff Johnny Emerald,
it's 2 steps!
It's 2 steps! 2 big steps! And I'm like, no. I'm going to take 3. It's fine.
Fuck you. I mean...
like, the amount of steps that I take, like, I think the fluidity of my movement is what's going to get me over, not how many steps I take.
If I'm in an 18-foot ring and I am 6'3", and I have a long, my stride is long, I'm going to take 2 steps.
Yeah.
But if I'm short, I'm going to take 3 steps. I don't know. I never understood why step Nazis existed in training.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, that was what really got me in, was like those certain moves, emulating that. It helped that people always said that I look like The Rock. And then I would also kind of work in the whole like Stone Cold Steve Austin badass attitude. Some of my first attire was me wearing like just like jeans, like not necessarily, I guess they were baggy then when I think back, but in my head they weren't that baggy.
Shorts?
But no, just long pants.
Oh, okay.
And I had like the Atomics wrestling shoes. I still have those same ones to this day. I wear them just to wear around the house.
So weird.
Yeah, and because they're fucking huge. Yeah, even back then at 14, I still had like size 13, 14 feet.
That's ridiculous. Jeez, big ass foot.
Depends on the brand, but like
yeah, true.
Well, you know what they say about the shoe size? More material to make the shoe.
So next we have the same idea for the topic, but for toys.
Yeah.
We'll start with you, idiot. What I didn't mean to call you that. That was rude.
It was very talented. The one of the guys who've seen the ring to idiot.
Yep. The story of Thomas.
Yep.
So Thomas the Swank Engine. So what was the toy that got you into toys? What was your favorite toy? I'd say. What are your most memorable? What got you into collecting?
I I remember the first couple of toys I remember getting were just some G.I. Joes that I got.
That you loved so much.
One was the early version of Cyclops where you actually press the button and his eyes would actually
Yes, and now we're talking.
Yeah. Cyclops, I was my main dude.
Now
and then,
we're talking.
I think,
Behold!
Yep. And then a couple years later, I ended up getting RoboCop. I was a huge RoboCop fan of the TV series.
Hey.
I got the RoboCop with the putty face guy, and that was all I needed then. And
nice.
Then Spider-Man hit, and I was able to finally get my dream Spider-Man. I still have it right now. It's Spider-Man where he has like one hand's web swinging, one hand's open, so he looks like he can crawl on the wall.
Nice.
His legs can actually do all the animations that he could actually do, were flipping. And
was it the Toy Biz ones?
I think so, because you could turn his head and his eyes would glow green.
Oh, sweet.
And stuff, so I was like,
that's fucking dope.
Yeah, ever since then, it's just been downhill for me with toys because I need to get them. But just the first couple with, some G.I. Joes to RoboCop to, even the Power Rangers. The Power Rangers are really cool too, but yeah, that's... Spider-Man is just where it really took off.
I think awesome. Spider-Man figures are still to the... And it's funny because I don't really own a lot of... I don't think I have any Spider-Man figures. Right. But when I see them, I think they're like the coolest figure because like it really depends on the articulation because a character like Spider-Man has to articulate properly, and so it's usually the ones that can are the ones I'm probably not willing to spend the money for.
They're usually pretty spicy.
So you can't just get like a freaking regular like a Marvel Legends Spider-Man, and he can't freaking bring his calf all the way up to his ear.
All is to
He can't bend in the McFarlane style.
Like the Hot Toys Spider-Man. You can do a lot of crazy poses with them, but I guess with the fabric that he has on his legs, you can't hold it for long.
Fabric's always restrictive.
Yeah.
But, we're talking about the first, not your Omegas.
Yeah, we got you in.
So, Craven.
For me,
had to be Power Rangers.
Well, sure, it was Actually, Ninja Turtles and Batman.
Never mind. That makes sense.
Yeah, I was thinking about this question before, and I was like, yeah, Power Rangers is the go-to, and I've talked about Power Rangers at length, but like, for me, because I remember from pictures, I remember having the turtle van back in the day. I
think everybody had that.
Yeah, I had it. I have a picture of me playing with it, but I have a lot of pictures of me having this stuffed Batman doll that I had all the time. I had like themed birthdays, Ninja Turtle birthdays, Batman birthdays, and so it really wasn't about collecting because I was terrible when it came to collecting. It was all about...
if we're talking first, it's more about like what your favorite one was.
Yeah,
I think.
And back in the day, it was Turtles because like the variety of Turtles. Like I remember a Christmas of getting the same rapping Michelangelo toy. Like that they had. So I had 2 of those, and to this day that I still have. I have the trench jacket, fedora wearing Donatello action figure. I still have it. It's on my workbench.
I remember having a raft that would turn into the actual turtle.
Yes.
And then turn into the regular one.
I remember having that one too.
My favorite was Donatello, but I just got a raft for some reason.
Yeah. I think Ninja Turtles was the main one that I had so many varieties of because they had so many varieties out there. Just like they had
get
like
those toys anywhere.
And those were like great go-tos. I remember having the big dolls too. Like I remember I was notorious for breaking my fucking toys. I lost a head to one of those big Ninja Turtle toys, but I had a stuffed toy, and I took the head off that and put it on the plastic one. So a little Frankenstein turtle.
That's using your noodle.
Yeah, so that and the Batman toys. I remember having the '89 Batman.
Michael Keaton one where you just had
it wasn't even Michael Keaton because they couldn't get the rights to their looks. So I remember. I know that. I don't remember that at the time, but I know that now because like I remember the action figures looking way different. But even like the Penguin figure that they came out.
Yeah, because he had purple pants and he looked more like the comic Penguin than he did the regular Penguin.
Or Burgess Meredith in a way too. But yeah, I had that Batman. I had I think it was like a weird Batcopter type thing that had a hook to it, and I remember tripping over it and hurting myself. But like I remember having that, and I think I had a Joker figure too. But like I didn't have as much Batman stuff then. but I remember Ninja Turtles being the main thing.
Being the main.
Yeah, and when it came to really realizing that maybe I should start collecting shit, it was really because of my cousin, my older cousin, who he had the toys, he kept them in the boxes, he kept them in the closet, in which we don't really talk now, but like, we follow each other on like Instagram.
Yeah.
But like, I imagine like if he sold those, he's probably made a good amount of money on them.
Chances are.
Yeah, because like he had Saba, kept it in the box. He had the Zords, all the Zords, the classic Zords. He had Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, all those figures. I wanted to play with those so fucking bad. I didn't have a single Samurai Cyber Squad figure of my own, but like I would play with like his stuff. But like it was always under super. It was almost like having a visitor and being in prison, because like he just wouldn't let me play. Yeah, he wouldn't really want to let me play with him and stuff.
Rent a figure.
Yeah, pretty much. That and like VR Troopers. VR Troopers was also a big one.
Yeah.
Even though like I cannot sit down and watch that show for shit.
Yeah, I can't watch it now.
It's very bad. Same thing with like fucking Beetleborgs.
I actually like Beetleborgs. It was comic books.
Beetleborgs. Fucking. I remember back then I loved Beetleborgs so much because it was one of those like. Yeah, kids, dress them up like superheroes, put them in cool costumes, have goofy characters. Like, yeah, this speaks to me because I'm a fucking little idiot that will fall in love with this. And I try to watch it now. I love those costumes, but I cannot watch that show. But I remember like VR Troopers being so big for me, and till this day I still have, and I repainted it too, and we talked about it before. I have the main dude, I think it was Cybertron dude. Which is because it was supposed to be a solo series of that one character versus the entourage, because those don't belong in the same series.
Yeah.
So that's very much like White Ranger and Mighty Morphin. Like they're not supposed to cross over, but they do.
Right.
Actually, you just reminded me. One of my most remembered figures I remember having was Jack Slater from Last Action Hero. I remember getting him
I had that too.
And Danny. Just those two figures. That's all I needed. And I totally missed out on getting the car. Like that's what I mainly wanted. A couple years, like fast forward a couple years, early 2000, my freaking cousin Kyle has the car and has Slater on the back and everything. I was like, oh man,
damn.
See, the figures, and this is, so and this was a topic on a podcast too, where we were talking about like this toys that came out for movies that typically wouldn't have action figures now, or not have, like they would have action figures now, but they wouldn't have the line of toys.
Not for kids, not for Target, kids.
Because like. Because I remember getting, because to this day, Independence Day is still one of my favorite movies. Yeah. And I had the fighter jet that had a little tiny Will Smith figure in it. I think it was Will Smith. Yeah. And then I had the alien ship that had a little tiny alien figure that I was scared shitless of because the look of those aliens were fucking scary.
Yeah, they were.
So I could not look at that toy. I had to hide it. But like I had dog fights with these two. I was blessed enough to be able to get these two and be able to have dog fights. But I have a Will Smith, I don't have it anymore, but I had a Will Smith action figure that was a 6-inch figure of him, which in my head, when I think back, it was like one of the coolest figures. Yeah, even though,
had that too.
But you were to look at it now, it's like so basic and dull. It looks like one of the old wrestling figures. But like, I had him, and I had the Jeff Goldblum. So I had to forget. They had a Jeff Goldblum one. And like those are the two that I had because like I was really into that movie and those two characters. Yeah. So I had to have those, and it was just like weird. So I like same thing as you. I had the Last Action Hero, just that Arnold Schwarzenegger, and just like it was just.
They never gave him a gun. He did not have a gun in the box.
That sucked.
He had 2 fists.
And
he had his kicking action. That was pretty much it.
What about you,
so. You name any action movie in the 90s and I had the toys for it.
Demolition Man?
Yes.
No, man. You have fucking...
Yeah.
Simon Phoenix right there.
Simon Phoenix right there. Yeah. Stargate. That movie should have never got toys. Shouldn't have.
Actually, T2. I actually did have a T800.
And I have
the one with the arm that came off.
And I had the same one,
I had the gold variant one with the hook. They had the big hook arm. Yeah. I mean, I had all the Terminator 2 ones. My favorites, though... Okay, so the story behind the clan leader Predator that I have from NECA that's up there, that's like got the crazy white hair and the orange skin with the black armor. He was my favorite Predator from the Kenner line back in the 90s because Kenner made Predator and Aliens figures that I tried to get all of them for.
Yeah. So
I had the Gorilla Alien. The Mantis Alien was my favorite because it was just a giant praying mantis with like translucent green plastic.
Yeah.
But it was like this really wicked looking alien. And my clan leader Predator would always fight it. So the clan leader Predator was my favorite one. So when I found out that NECA was redoing the Kenner lines in their style, I shit my pants and immediately went and got it. Yeah. But that was those Predator figures... But I'd say it was the Wolverine from the Toy Biz line in the brown costume.
Where his claws would come out of his
where the
hands.
claws popped out, and then you could wear his mask as a ring.
What?
Oh, nice. Yeah, because, it just slipped over his face, so you could just put it on your finger.
Damn,
and that's what I did. So, and then next up was, after that was... I think most of the other figures really sucked in that line. The only good one was Wolverine, and I really loved him. So then, a couple series later, they had the talking versions of the characters.
Yeah.
And I got that Cyclops, and I got that Venom, and that Venom was my favorite. Because they had this big talk box on their back that you could take on and off. But I loved that design of Venom, so that was my favorite. So, I always thought Spider-Man was a pussy. But Venom is definitely the superior. Yeah. So, I was always a huge fan of Venom. So, it was Wolverine, Venom, and the Cyclops that I had. That was the shit. Yeah, but, I mean, Toy Biz, I was all about those lines. And like I said, every action movie that happened, I had the fucking toys for. Because back then, you couldn't top action films. Like, they were all the best things back in the 90s, man. Demolition Man, still up there for me. The first Predator, still up there for me. Fucking that Judge Dredd is still up there for me.
I was about to say that one.
Blade is still up there for me. I think that was 2000, right? 2000.
Oh, 1999.
1999, yeah.
Yeah, so Blade's still up there for me. I mean, honestly, 90s action films had a bit of camp and charisma that nobody else could touch.
I just missed out on the Matrix line during that time.
I mean, shit, it didn't matter now that we're getting back to the now that, they're actually making Hot Toys versions for the Matrix anyways. Yeah. So because of that, we got some really good stuff coming out. So, I mean, long and short of it, shit, I mean... The funny part about all this is all this stuff that has gotten me into it, we've now come to a point in our lives where it's full circle. Mm-hmm. So now all those wrestling figures and toys that you bought now have far better versions, and they're making classic people that you used to love. Yep. Those 90s movies are now coming full circle, and now they're getting high-end dolls, six scale made of them that you can get now from third party and even Hot Toys, and the Toy Biz toys and all these X-Men figures. Now you're getting Japanese companies making them, and you're even getting fucking Marvel Legends and Build-A-Figures out of them. So it's just funny that all the things that we had first on, still to this day, I'm collecting damn near the same lines, just more evolved styles.
Yeah.
Which I do have one question. If you could bring up one horrible toy that you did see back in your childhood, one.
Bring it up?
Yeah. Like,
what do you mean?
Like if you've seen one or you had one that was just horrible.
What was my worst toy?
Yeah, you could say that, but I'm saying
That's tough.
I'll just say I had two.
Yeah,
it was a Wolverine and a Nightcrawler, and it was like putty around an iron skeleton on the inside. where you actually bend and it would hold like that. Because the putty would come apart and then you'd end up scratching yourself with this hard iron. Like
that is an awful concept.
Yeah, it was really bad. Like the head, like you couldn't move the head. Like you'd have to. It was just bad.
Okay, I got one real quick. Batman Returns, Michael Keaton Batman that could change from Batman to Michael Keaton. You put the helmet on it, and he looked so ridiculous. Caught myself. He looked so stupid that I just couldn't get over it. Because the helmet and the cowl made his mouth like extra tiny and his head super huge. Nothing bulked his shoulders up. You put the gloves on him and he's got like oven mitts on, and you put the boots on him. He's got moon boots. So it's like
I remember seeing those toys and thinking,
Michael
why?
Keaton. You're welcome, everyone.
Like I remember seeing those toys and loving the idea that like, oh, you can put Bruce Wayne in the Batmobile, shove him in, come out, and he's dressed as Batman. And I'm like, I love it. I want it. Gotta have it.
So dumb.
God, I cannot really think of anything offhand. Everything I had, everything I had was fucking awesome.
Good. Yeah, there we go. I never had anything bad.
No.
Fucking figure gang.
I'll say like any figure I had that just had terrible articulation, but it's really hard to think of examples.
Oh man, that once again, that Michael Keaton transformation Batman figure could only move this way. He moved like Scott Steiner.
He had some really cool shoes, though.
Huh?
He had some really cool shoes when he was Michael Keaton.
Just stop.
Killer boots, man.
Just stop. So yeah, I don't know, man. That wraps it up for me.
Yeah.
I thought that was.
Yeah, I really can't think of anything offhand. If I do, I will bring it up. But I think we can just wrap it up briefly with some wrestling.
Backlash stunk. There were a couple of things that were cool, but initially I just was over it. Braun Strowman kills everyone. That's cool. Bobby Lashley has no place in anything. Can somebody please explain to me what that promo about his sisters meant?
That was the
what
weirdest.
The fuck? And he stares dead at the camera. Like, shout out to Wrestle Talk. Like Ollie Davis in Wrestle Talk said, looked like he said it with a gun held to his head. To my sisters, I love you.
But
and then it could have faded to black. You could have. It was just so.
Just what he was saying though,
it was so uncomfortable and weird.
He was like, she really tried to kill me with a broom handle. It's like. What?
Like, were you dead ass? Were you dead ass about that? Like, serious, dude? Like, for real? Yeah, it was wild.
Well, there was a gem. There was the curtain jerker match, the Seth Rollins and The Miz.
Oh, Seth Rollins
stealing the show before the show can even start.
That was really good.
Yeah,
still got to see it.
And I don't like Miz, but this last year of his has been primo.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
really establishing himself as like pretty much the key WWE guy, the ideal WWE guy who can represent the company, he can represent himself, and he can represent his opponents in the ring like really awesome,
well,
and still make himself look good, make the other guys look good. He's just ideal. Sure, he's not the best in shape, he's not the most athletic, but he's safe. He's capable and he's smart.
Yeah, he's never had an injury.
Yeah,
doesn't take real time off unless his wife is pregnant.
Yeah,
or unless he's getting married. Yeah. Like,
or unless he wants to go see his baby.
That shit was great.
Do it. He does his movies, but like that's for WWE.
And you could barely tell he's gone.
Yeah,
like. The last time he was gone, he was gone for 4 weeks, and nobody cared.
I just think it's a shame that that has an effect on the whole title reign stuff.
It does.
It bugs me because he lost the title so he can do a movie, and then he came back and he got the title back. Now he has an extra title win on his record.
Yeah,
which it's cool, but when you look at the reasoning, it's like
it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm
sure he's still gonna film that thing and still. Been just not done house shows.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
No, my big selling point on Miz was when he, broke away from Morrison and did the whole Calgary Kid thing, and once his big reveal, I'm saying, but from then on, At first, I hated him. I just couldn't stand him at all.
You just had to put the underwear on.
But now, it just ever since
man,
then,
them
he's just
shorts
really
was
good.
killing me. Bro, I'd say, I always thought he was good, but, he... In long and short of it, I was talking about this the other night with someone, is we grew up with him.
Yeah.
I did. I watched a lot of MTV growing up in the 90s. I watched a lot of Real World and Road Rules challenges, and he was on all of them.
Yep.
So, and I knew that he was a wrestling mark and always wanted to be a wrestler. Here he is. He makes it to the fucking big leagues. Saw him go through Tough Enough, right? He was on Tough Enough?
Yeah, he was on Tough Enough.
Saw him go through Tough Enough. Then he actually makes it to the roster. Then eventually he finally wears big boy tights. Then eventually he learns how to cut a better promo. Then he gets a better shape, his career has only gotten better until that meh title run. But aside from that, I mean, he's far better now. Mm-hmm. I mean, your work ethic and your creativity is what's going to get you over for me. Aesthetics are important too. And I felt like he was lacking in a lot of those departments. But now I think he's got it.
I think ever since that Talking Smack episode
where he lost it.
It's like, since then on, it's been... You've had to kind of see what he's doing now. You can't not unsee it,
Yeah. Total Divas thing too helped to help him with Maurice, and he's just made all the right moves.
Yeah, I agree.
At the end of the day, but that was like the only gem.
Yeah,
that I
only
remember
good match.
Backlash.
Seth Rollins and The Miz had an amazing match.
To tell you the truth, Roman and Joe was just fine.
It would have been a fine match. It's just there's nothing. There's no stakes in it.
Yeah, and and that's the thing is if you were gonna make, Joe should have just fucking won.
Yep, he should have just.
The problem is Joe, without a shadow of a doubt, cuts the best promos in the company right now because he's the only one that can cut a promo and immediately you're like, this is serious. I shouldn't say Heyman is the best, but Heyman is tunnel vision. He can only do one thing.
Yeah.
Because of Brock.
Yeah.
But Joe, when you hear Joe talk, he commands your presence.
Yep.
He gets the subject across. He feels like a threat no matter if they keep making him lose. And, he brings a big fight feel to everything. So Joe is so important, but it really bothers me that they don't give him any wins.
Exactly.
It's just like Bray.
And I think it's interesting how Joe's able to do all that and also not have to rein in a catchphrase because he doesn't have one.
No.
And he doesn't need one.
Doesn't.
And I
that's
think
huge.
Because that's what makes certain people dull. Some come to mind whenever Natalia says best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. It sounds so forced and so unentertaining, and I just want to shut my TV off. Nothing against her. I just can't stand hearing her say that.
Oh, man, recently it would say, get these hands. That's been pretty big, too.
Even
Braun doesn't even have to go like this and yell anymore. He has a crowd do it for him.
Yeah. Which, the catchphrases that happen on accident are the ones that go over. The ones that you try to force down our throats are the ones that no one wants.
Nobody wants.
Because that ain't working.
He didn't ask everybody to say burn it down. They all said it now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's the natural progression.
Mm-hmm. But
Joe doesn't. Yeah,
he doesn't need anything.
He doesn't. The one thing Joe has over all else is the same thing John Cena has, and that's conviction. Mm-hmm. Joe has so much conviction when he talks that the only thing you can do is believe him. When he opens his mouth, all the promos he cut leading up to the Roman match, I was like, yeah, he's going to win. Mm-hmm. Because it's so believable, the shit he talks.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, you still have to put wins. You need W's on the board for people to take you serious.
Yeah.
I mean, shitty booking is shitty booking, and I think that's shitty booking. It's just like Braun Strowman winning the tag titles from the Bar, and then they ain't shit, and then all of a sudden they're back in title contention again. That doesn't is just that made them look weak, and it made you look the same. But yeah, I mean that's my wrestling wrap up. I think we've already gone pretty long.
We have. I think we're all tired. but on the wrestling side, for me, I do have a couple shows that I've done with Wrestling Ryan Cruz. I think I've done 3 shows, and each show I've wrestled Ryan Cruz, and gone really well. This past Friday, I had a show with Midwest All-Star Wrestling. The match went really great. It was a submission match. Got to do a little promo, one-shot take, which I was kind of surprised by. I thought I totally fucked that up, but I already had some stuff on my head to be able to get that over. But we had the match. It went over really great. We had a great story to tell with the submissions and all that. And the crowd was really into it. There was one point where I didn't believe I can do it, but I was able to pull it off, where I deadlifted Brian from the triangle.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, from that position.
What?
Which, you were there. You didn't see it?
No. Actually, I think I had to leave a little bit before intermission.
He brought his kids. True.
Yeah.
His children. The burdens. But so he had me in the triangle choke in that position, and it was funny because the crowd was just there for everything, and they were cheering him when he came out, but he was able to get them against him, and then when I came out, and I think they just kind of dug my energy for the most part, and throughout the match they were there for stuff, but when I did that, where he had me in a triangle in that down position, I just deadlifted him up all the way up and got him there the way freaking Roman wishes he could. Awesome. And just slammed him down, and it was just a double down right there, and everyone freaking loved it. And,
they were lit.
Yeah, and he knocked me out with some odd contraption that's usually... No one really knew what it was, but I've seen it in plenty of Walmarts and Targets. And it is it is a device that you use to give yourself a deep tissue massage on your back, and it has a hook on it. Yeah, and it was just sitting back there in our locker room, and no one knew who it belonged to. But we decided, look, if this match is gonna end and you're gonna hit me with something, it has to be something unorthodox. We're going with some silliness in this match because he's playing silly. Like, it has. I'd rather he hit me with like a coffee pot or an iron or something that's not a chair, a sledgehammer, or just a regular hammer, or anything that you typically see in wrestling. I want something that's so fucking odd that no one sees it coming. And we were able to just decide on that and that thing, and it just worked out for the finish. And some people were actually upset with how that ended, mainly in the context of how it ended. Like, fuck, it ended like that. At least that's what it felt like. Yeah. But I do have Steel Domain Wrestling coming up this Friday.
Yeah.
I believe I'm wrestling Brandon Core. And then I'm wrestling in Kimball, Minnesota. Promotion, I can't really say which one, just because I don't remember. I just think it's just kind of an offshoot show. But yeah, I have those.
For AWF maybe? Or?
It's not AWF, no. I was supposed to wrestle for AWF, but I had to back out because the 2 shows are 2 hours apart.
Oh, jeez.
So it's just like, I have to do one. And I committed to this one first, so I'm sticking to this one. But you're wrestling at Midwest All-Star Wrestling on Sunday.
Sunday.
Another event Sunday. And what are you doing there?
MAW,
I'll be doing a tag match. It looks like me and a partner of my choosing, hopefully if I can find one, against Aiden Wake and Wild Pete.
Oh, all right. Pick me.
Yeah.
I'm available.
Yeah, might as well. I mean,
What the fuck is that?
It's us.
Yeah, but like, you're just listening to the...
I'm trying to send the link.
Maybe it's Inception because we can listen to a podcast while on a podcast.
It's fucking nuts. A podcast about listening to other podcasts. A podcast about listening to our own podcast. Imagine the next podcast just continuing.
The views would double.
I think it was just completely subtract. Anyway, that's it for me.
For me, I have a Midwest All-Star this Sunday in Hudson, Wisconsin at the Uncle Mike's Emporium, the way it sounds.
Emporium.
Yep.
Delish.
I think the next show after that would be Saturday, would be IWI in Hopkins.
Okay.
I'll be going against one Maru, which I was actually on his podcast a couple times.
Yeah.
A little while back. Then I want to say after that would be June 7th. I have a sit-down podcast with Dive Club. It'll be me and Dewey Decimal, represent book club.
Dive Club.
At Big V's Saloon.
Wait, at Big V's?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you'll catch me there.
But yeah, it's
so many Coors. Mike,
Climb
on top of my wife tonight.
Yep.
Quoting the great Brock Lesnar.
And I think after the June 7th podcast with Dive Club, I think that following Saturday, June 9th, we're going back to Historic Mountains Theater for
Nice.
MAW again.
Nice.
Sweet titties.
Sounds awesome.
All right.
And I will be at one of the shows if you guys decide to run them when I don't work my day job. So thanks to you guys.
I'll be trying to convince the promoters to not run shows on the typical days that shows are ran.
Just run on Sundays or Tuesday afternoons.
wait, that's what I was going to tell you guys. I was giving you guys my idea for my new shirt.
All right, so we're done here on the Break Knyte Podcast.
Thank you all for joining us on the Break Knyte Podcast.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that we are completely short on time, and the sponsors are telling us we need to end this now.
All of our sponsors.
But
my Life Water. And I am Craven Knight, and I appreciate you here for my buddy Sean, for my buddy Lenard Literacy.
That's right. You can lie to his face.
Stay creative. Peace, love, and chicken grease. We're out.
Yeet!